Hello fam, hope you're having a great day. Today I'm here to talk about my breastfeeding journey. This video has been a long time coming. My baby Colette is 4 months and I have some notes here because I don't want to forget anything. I've been wanting to do this video for a while now, but I haven't been able to because I've really been focused on breastfeeding. It's literally consumed my life for the last 4 months, and I finally feel ready mentally and emotionally to share my journey. I've decided to share my breastfeeding journey because when I was in the thick of it, there was nothing more comforting to me than going on YouTube and watching videos of women who were going through the exact same thing that I was going through. So with that being said, I am going to get started. So for those of you that don't know, my baby Colette was born via C-section, and it was an unplanned C-section that was fairly traumatic for me. I actually made a video on my birth experience, and I'm gonna link it right here so you can go watch that. But long story short, I was in a very long induced labor for 36 hours, which ended up in a C-section. So when she was born, I was of course extremely happy, but also extremely exhausted. And one of the things that I really wanted to do when she was born, if a baby is born naturally, they can go here like on your stomach, and what the baby will do is that the baby will crawl up basically to the breast, latch on, and start to nurse. So that was, you know, my dream. That's what I wanted. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. At the time of her birth, I was so out of it, so I didn't even remember about that. And then after a half hour after she was born, I tried to do the latch. She wasn't really able to latch because at the time my nipples were very flat. So I've always had flat nipples, and with her little mouth, she just wasn't able to latch. And I guess I didn't really try that much in the moment because before I knew it, some nurses were there to help me, and they gave me a, what is it called? It's a nipple shield. They gave me a nipple shield so that she was able to latch on, and she was able to latch on with that because my nipple was very flat. So with that, I was at the hospital for like 2 more days, and during the hospital, she was nursing. I really didn't really know much about breastfeeding. Breastfeeding, it was something I didn't really think about when I was pregnant. I was like, oh yeah, like, I guess it's gonna be easy, right? Like I just like put the baby and like the baby eats and then the milk comes out. You know, side note, I have had, in 2013, I had 2 breast reduction surgeries. I had nipple reconstruction. And then in 2019, I had my implants taken out. So mind that throughout the story because I feel like it has definitely impacted my breastfeeding journey. At the hospital, her feeds seemed to be very, very long. Like she would be on my breast on and off for like 4 or 5 hours every 20 minutes, and then she would fall asleep and then want to eat again. And I was like, oh, like this is normal, right? Like babies just eat all the time. But then the nurses would come and they're like, oh, like she's still on your breast? Yeah, like is something wrong or something? We actually had a lactation consultant in the hospital, which was kind of helpful. Like she helped with some positions and things like this, which seemed to help. But I could tell that she was definitely fussy at the breast, but she was having trouble transferring the colostrum because it took a lot of effort from her to suck and transfer the colostrum through the silicone nipple shield into her mouth. So I could tell that she would get very frustrated. So we got to the hospital, day 3 came around, and my midwife came to visit as at home, and she's like, how's the breastfeeding going? And I'm like, I think it's going good, but I'm not sure. Like I definitely see the colostrum coming out. Seems like she's eating, but she just gets kind of frustrated. So she's like, okay, let's see. And she was like, yeah, this is like not normal. She's definitely having trouble transferring food, transferring the colostrum. Let's have you pump. So I pumped, you know, I pumped like maybe 1/4 of an ounce from both. My milk hadn't come in. And then we fed her that through like a little syringe and a little tube into her mouth. And for the first time since she was born, I actually felt like she was content. You know, like how a baby gets when they eat? Like she looked like that. And she's like, yeah, I don't think Colette is getting enough. I highly recommend that you supplement. So obviously in the moment, I was like, yeah, like we need a supplement. So I texted 2 of my girlfriends who were pregnant around the same time as I was, and they were angels. And I was like, I have to ask, you know, my milk hasn't come in. I need to feed my baby and I want to feed her breast milk. So I asked them for breast milk and they were amazing. One of them, in an hour, she was at my house with bags of breast milk. And the other one, the next day she had bags of breast milk for me. And I was like, wow, like so grateful that I was able to feed her. And I began to supplement. That was the moment I began to supplement with donor breast milk. So around like day 5, and this whole time I was supplementing with that little syringe and tube. I would put it like right here on my breast and then she would come and eat it. But it was very frustrating because I had to put the tube and the nipple shield and then her mouth, and then it was just like, it was a lot. By day 5, I got the MEDELA SNS supplemental nursing system, which was a little bit better because I would literally just hang the bottle here. I'll show a picture right here, and then I would feed her through the tube. But still, since I had the nipple shield going on with the tube, it would like come off, she would get frustrated, the milk would go everywhere, and it was just very frustrating for both of us. Mind you, during this whole time, I was with a lactation consultant and she was guiding me through all of this. By like week 2, I was like, I'm done with this SNS. Like it was just too much and I was getting frustrated with it. So about like day 5 or when she was a week old, that's when we introduced the bottle for the first time, because the feeds were taking really, really long. She wasn't really getting enough even with the SNS because it was taking so long, and it was just frustrating for both of us. So that's when I decided to give her a bottle. And this is something that I really did not want to do, and it was really hard. The first time I gave her a bottle, that's like the first time I like actually broke down and cried, because this expectation that I had of like what my breastfeeding was going to look like was very far from that. So it was hard. It was hard because when you have a newborn, like the most important things is that they eat and sleep, right? And I wasn't able to do like the main thing. You know, it's like you think it's such a natural process that your body's just naturally gonna do, and my body was just not doing it. So it was hard. It was definitely hard, but I really had no other choice. And having my breast reductions, I'm sure that didn't really help. There might be some like nerve damage there, some damage with the tissue, with the breast tissue. So it was hard. It was hard from the beginning. So once day 10 rolled around, she finally latched on, and I was so happy. Like the day she latched on, I was like, oh my gosh, she latched on. Like I don't need a nipple shield anymore. So since that moment, I stopped using the nipple shield. I was super happy, and that's when I felt like my milk started to come in. But again, it was not enough. It was some milk, but I felt like I was never really able to keep up. And I was on this, since I was supplementing so much, I had to pump. So for every bottle that I gave her, I would have to pump. So I was pumping around 6-8 times a day, around the clock. And around week 6, I was on this schedule where I would breastfeed her, and then she would, start getting fussy and like frustrated at the breast because the milk flow wasn't there or the milk wasn't coming out, which I later learned that she was just not transferring milk well. And then I would give her a bottle. So that was like, our cycle. And then finally around week week 5, 6, that's when I had her lip tie removed. So I always knew that she had a lip tie, but everyone said that it wasn't a big deal. Like it was just a very like small lip tie. Parentheses, she has a very minor tongue tie that 2 pediatric dentists and 3 lactation consultants have already seen her, and they all say that it's so small and it's insignificant that it really wouldn't make a difference. So I did get her lip lasered, and that seemed to help with the latch. Like her latch seemed better, but the suction was still not there. And my milk production was just not good either. So that's when I decided to go on a pumping schedule that a doula friend who's also a breastfeeding expert, she was the one that gave me this protocol. I did it for 6 weeks. So for 6 weeks, I would have her sucking my breast on one side, and then on the other side, I would be pumping. And I would do that for 45 minutes every 3 hours around the clock. It did help. By the end of it, I was pumping more than I normally would pump. Her latch was okay, but her transfer of milk was still not great. And also by the end of it, I was just mentally drained. Like I was having like emotional breakdowns like every single day by the end of it. And I was like, okay, this is definitely not healthy. Like I need to stop. The goal was to breastfeed, right? To just exclusively breastfeed, not need to pump, and then just do like top-offs here and there. So I decided to just exclusively breastfeed, and I breastfed, I remember, 1 whole day, and then by the next day, by the end of the day, I got mastitis. This was the 2nd time I had mastitis. I think the reason why I got mastitis that 2nd time was because I could feel that on one breast, like there was milk getting stuck in there, like she wasn't extracting all of the milk, and I completely stopped pumping, which was like a mistake too, to just do that much of a drastic change. So, and I also had like my nipples were so raw and open from the pump that even having her, I mean, obviously mastitis hurts, you know, and having the baby nurse hurts even more. So it was really, really painful. My milk production went down again, and so I had to start pumping again. This was like when she was 12 weeks, so 4, 8, so she was 3 months. This was a month ago. So when that happened, that's when I decided for my mental health that I wasn't gonna be pumping as much as I was, because it was just too much. But I still had to continue pumping because her suction was not there. So fast forward to now, the last few weeks, what we've been doing is that since I've been pumping less, I feel like my milk production has gone down a little bit. I have been breastfeeding more, but again, I don't feel like she transfers milk really well. So I still have to pump, but not as much. Some feeds she will feed well, like she'll finish the feed and I can hear her gulps and I can hear her swallowing the milk, and she will look satisfied after the feed, but that doesn't happen very often. So that's where we are at now. And I think like for so long I was feeling, and I'm still working on it, feeling guilt and shame around this whole situation because because of this expectation that I've had. And I feel like I've literally done everything. Like I've taken all the supplements that you can think of. I've increased my calories. I drink so much water. I'm pumping. I am putting her on the breast as much as I can. I want to see my baby thriving, and I want to see my baby healthy. And I've come to that now. I think I've really let go this like need that I have to breastfeed her and it has to be this way. And if it's not this way, then I'm a terrible mom, because that's what I felt like for a while. Like I felt like I was like a less of a mom, you know, like not enough of a mom because I wasn't able to breastfeed. And that's not a good place for me to be at. That's not the energy that I want to cultivate. That's not what I want to feel. And that's not what I want to pass on to her, because I know that she feels everything that I feel. So I've been, I'm going to therapy. This is one of the subjects that I've been talking to my therapist about because it really, really got to me. Like, there would be days when I would cry like every single day, like all day, because I'd be so sad and frustrated. Like, why is this not working for me? I'm really grateful that I was able to feed her just breast milk the first 3 months. And after 3 months, we started making our own raw goat milk formula here at home, which she's taken very well. It's the Weston 8 Price Foundation formula, and it's been great. So just wanted to share this because breastfeeding is easy for some women, for many women, but for many other women, it's very challenging. And it can be really disheartening and heartbreaking to not be able to give your baby what you are, you know, what's your body's intended to do. It can be very hard, and I've definitely been there. So I just want to say you're doing amazing, you're doing great, and you're no less of a mom if you don't breastfeed. And another thing is that I've looked for other ways to bond with her. So I play with her, we go on walks, I talk to her, I read books to her that doesn't involve breastfeeding. I also think that breastfeeding or nursing is a lot more than just food. There's so much comfort, the bond, the neurological benefits to the baby that they have when they're latched, when they're on your breast. So we take baths every single night, and I feed her at night when she's sleeping, when she wakes up. Like, it's so easy to just put her back to sleep with my breast, you know. It definitely has its benefits, and I've obviously thought of quitting so many times because, you know, she's still sleeping through the night. I'm waking up. I wake up once, sometimes twice during the night to pump because she just gets my milk better from the bottle. And then my body produces a lot more milk at night. So I wake up to pump, and I'm doing these things that, you know, still make me feel like I'm still tired during the day because I'm not sleeping well. And I think, like, how much longer am I gonna do this? And for now, I'm gonna continue. You know, I know this is only like a very short period of her life, and maybe I'll make it to a year. Maybe I won't. I'm taking it one day at a time for now. Oh, one more thing. I wanted to share one more thing that we did that I feel really helped us. I'm taking these mommy and me classes from the Waldorf school. And the other day, you know, we're in the class and babies want to nurse here and there. So Colette, like, you know, maybe wanted to nurse. We were in the class, I tried to nurse her, and like a lot of times she gets really fussy. Like, she doesn't want the breast. Even if my breasts have milk, like, she just doesn't want it. So the teacher was like Colette started crying. And the teacher was like, okay, let's let her just tell us, like, she needs to tell us something. So after like 15 minutes of her crying, she put her on my stomach. And I removed my top off, and we basically redid what we would have done at the time that she was born. She literally crawled up to my breast, and when she got there, she was so exhausted that she just fell asleep. And I really thought that moment she was trying to tell me that it wasn't her time to be born yet, and that she was holding on to some birth trauma. And I truly believe that. So when she got to the breast, she fell asleep, and about 10 minutes later, she woke up and she nursed. Like, she nursed like normal. Like, I was like, wow. Then she fell asleep again, and then I put her on the other breast, and then she nursed again, and then fell asleep. And then that whole day, like, we went on a walk, just her and I breastfed her on the carrier, and she fell asleep, and then I fed her again, and I was breastfeeding her like the whole day. And then by the end of the day, like, I could tell, like, she wanted milk, and there was no milk coming out. So that's when I gave her a bottle. But ever since then, this was almost a week ago, and our nursing sessions have been better. All right, fam, that is it. I truly believe now more than ever that fed is best. To see my baby happy and thriving is truly that's what gives me the most happiness. And you know, our breastfeeding journey is not how I was picturing, but I can't stay stuck on that. But I'm not going to stay stuck on that. I'm going to move forward. I've literally done everything that's in my hands that I can do. I've tried everything. And one thing that's really hard for me to do is to see that I'm doing a great job, and to be like patting myself on the back and be like, you did a good job. My husband often tells me what a great job I do and that I'm trying everything. And I guess I just need to remind myself that more often. I really wanted to make this video because when I start making more vlogs, if I talk about breastfeeding, it's all gonna make more sense. And then you guys know the whole story. All right, fam, that is it for this video. Again, please share your experience in the comments section. And if you have any other question, please let me know as well. Mwah! Send you a big kiss, lots of love and light, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.